Hey guys, welcome back to Mike's Nerd Cave. Today we're getting back to some cave conversations. It's been a bit since we visited one of these episodes, but this is going to be episode 5 overall. I'm excited. We have a very special guest on tonight. It's Kevin from Link Cable Gaming. Kevin, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey guys, I'm Kevin from Link Cable Gaming, like Mike said. We're a website where we do articles, reviews, news for tons of different written content, and then we've got a audio and video podcast we do every week called Link Cable Gaming Podcast, and then we have a YouTube channel and with live streams, videos, all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah, and I'm going to link all of their socials down in the description so you guys can go over and check them out. We usually start off these shows, Kevin, with a what are you drinking? And for most of them, because it's been a later in the week kind of show, we usually have an alcoholic beverage on, but with tonight being a Monday night we're recording kind of later, I know personally I just have some decaf coffee like the old man I am. What are you drinking tonight?
I have a Arnold Palmer Light, a little easier on the sugar.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of caffeine to get me through the evening conversations we're having, but not too much.
Cutting
I like
back,
your
yeah.
decaf.
No, it's a little too early in the week. I know if I have any more recordings going on later on in the weeks coming up, I'll probably get back to something interesting. I have a lot of good drinks I want to try on the show, but not on a Monday night.
Right, exactly.
Anyway, I wanted to talk about, Kevin here actually reached out to me first. I didn't stumble upon him, actually. I don't know why I'm saying that. He stumbled upon my channel, funnily enough, with the TV videos I did, as probably most of you guys did, being that those are by far the most popular videos on this channel. But he just reached out to me. He said, hey, do you want to come on our show over on Link Cable Gaming, do an interview, maybe hang out for a podcast? And I went over there. Those guys were super cool. You guys definitely got to check them out. But yeah, it's the first time someone's reached out to me with something like that, and I just thought it was such a cool thing, and it made me realize I can reach out to more people than just my friend group to get people on this show. And there's so many cool people out there, so many good stories, and I knew you guys would also enjoy listening to some of these cool things. So with that said, I'm going to be turning Cave Conversations into more of a show that's about a broader topic of how gaming and tech has influenced other people's lives, whether it's like a game or a piece of tech that stood out to them in their childhood and really shaped the way they grew up, or something more recent in their life. So we're going to start out here, Kevin. You guys have the YouTube channel.
We do.
You're over there with Link Cable Gaming. I know you were telling me you haven't been there for a super long time with that group, and the group is made up of a bunch of different people from kind of different corners. So how did that kind of come together?
So I'll talk about my backstory and kind of lead into where everyone else kind of came from. So about a year ago, beginning of quarantine life, back in March of 2020, we're all kind of getting started with the pandemic. I had a lot of free time on my hands since I couldn't really go outside and do much anymore because, the world shut down. So I was like, all right, let's turn to the internet and let's see what I can do with the hobby in mind and try to connect and find some people that like to talk about games. And I'd previously run a couple different podcasts before, video podcasts, audio only podcasts. And I was like, I want to do something like that again, but I usually end up getting my friends that I know personally locally to do it. And one thing or another, they end up, they're like kind of into it because it's just fun to do with your buddy, but they end up backing out because it's not like their main passion. So I was like, you know what? I want to find someone online that is just as passionate as I am about this. They really want to put their all into it. And I frequent this website called n4g.com, where it's like an aggregate site that pulls in a bunch of gaming articles into one area. And it kind of is like Reddit, where it'll push the articles to the top based on, how popular they are. And they give you like a degree rating. And constantly I'm on this website, I saw stuff from Link Cable Gaming, and I would read the articles. They were really good. At the very bottom of the page, it would say the author's name of who wrote it. It would show a picture of them. And I'm kind of like, creeping around on this site, like, oh, these guys look cool. Like they,
Like
talk about games that I
want to
like.
be one of these guys.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to do this. Like I have no no business being a journalist or writing games or anything. Like I am not a good writer. I was like, I don't know if they're interested in anything but writing because it looks like that's all the content they have right now. So I decided I was like, you know what? I'm just going to shoot them an email on their email that's on their contact and just say, hey, what do you guys, are you looking for content creators? You want to do anything? So I sent an email. I was just like, okay, we'll see what happens. And then nothing happened. I was like, all right, they
Oh,
just probably just dismissed me or they don't check it. So then I saw there was a Facebook page. So I went on the Facebook page, messaged them on there, and I was like, hi, I'm so and so. I'm really interested in being a content creator, or whatever. And I got a response.
oh, they weren't like, okay, who's this guy that keeps like
Yeah, hopefully not. They're
annoying
like, we
us? Like
put you on
this.
a list, man. How do you keep getting to us? So they came back and said, yeah, we're interested in content creators. What are your hobbies, like gaming wise? What do you like to do? What do you do here? And I just kind of gave them the whole spiel of, hey, I did this. I had a podcast. I don't know what else to say, and I'm waiting. They're gonna be like, would you have writing examples and a portfolio or something? Because I'm like, I don't have anything like that. Like I just have some YouTube links of old videos that are still up. And they're like, okay, yeah, you're in. I was like, wait, what? Like for real? And I was like all nervous.
It's like
I'm
a
like,
trick interview.
I'm telling my friends and all my like my family and my wife, and they're like, oh, you can't write. We know you can't write. What are you doing? So I kind of meet the guys in like a Skype chat. We talk, I get added to our group chat and just kind of get to know everybody. And I get tasked with my first article, and I'm so nervous because like I said, I'm not a good writer, and it's like
Hmm.
I'm like reading their articles, trying to get an idea of how they do this. I have like directions they've given me, and I way overthink. It took me like 3 days to write this article, which is just way too long to spend on writing a 650 to 800 page or word page.
Page?
Um,
No, that I think that's a pretty good pace. You just wrote
yeah,
like a Harry Potter
still
book
scared me.
in 3 days.
Yeah, yeah. Anyways, so I write it. First article goes out, and they go, "Yeah, this looks good. This is good." And I was like, "What a relief!" So started writing articles. Fast forward a little bit, and we started talking about this podcasting, which I had mentioned when I first started talking to them, and they said that they were really interested in doing this. So kind of took whatever knowledge I had, tried to mash it around, use their logo, put some stuff together, and we came up with a video podcast. Pulled everybody in and had a episode 0 test show where everything that could go wrong did. But we had a lot of fun
Yeah.
doing it, and we kind of just, even now I think we're in episode 35, 36. We just did. Um, Still lots to learn, but we've come quite a far way, and
Hmm.
it's been pretty nice. So that was my journey into the link cable gaming stuff. The brief history on them is the main guy Alex and his brother Jacob. I believe they were the first two that started everything, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, writing these articles for their website, and I believe both of them had a little bit of experience with articles before. Started putting stuff together, and they created this website, Link Cable. I think it was called Link Dash Cable back then. We went to Link Cable
Oh,
Gaming
okay.
now. But yeah, and it just kind of kept building. They picked up people, lost people, picked up people along the way, and just built like the huge library of articles that they've got going on right now. And
Hmm.
it's just getting bigger and bigger. I think I jumped in. I really helped out a lot with podcast stuff. I know we've had a couple guys jump in with the videos and YouTubes. I've been kind of trying to help push that side of the channel. But yeah, it's been fun. It's a lot of work to do a lot of little stuff, and it's the hard
Oh
part. It's like,
yeah.
yeah, in your mind you're like, you see all these other YouTubers and how they put videos out there, and you're like, oh, it's so easy, I can do this. But
Not at all.
the
No.
the little tiny stuff is what it's like. That's the stuff that matters. It's like, do you have a good description for the video? Do you have all your
Hmm.
socials listed the right way? Do you have a thumbnail? Like, I never had thumbnails on my stuff because I never thought it was important. I was like, nobody cares. I just
Right.
click on it. And then you look at other channels, it's like, no, these people care, and that's what a lot of people
Yep.
use. Like,
That's
they will
that's
make
like the
custom
important
photos
thing.
for everything. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um. So yeah, if you guys go to their website, it's pretty sick. It has a really like retro feel, I would say, just based on my opinions checking it out. And it's really, I think I like that. It's inviting to me, and that partly might be like the age I grew up in. I was born in 1990. Grew up through the 90s, and it has that kind of like retro gaming feel to it. And you can tell there's a lot of love that has gone into the website, the articles, everything that's on there. It's just a lot of fun. The reviews, the suggestions, whatever there is such a good time. Definitely check it out,
Yeah.
guys.
One of the things that I think that really drew me, I think that's how you say it, drew me to the website originally is just the writing style that we kind of try to have. Is this isn't a informative, super, this is where you're getting news like CNN style or anything like that. It's very much our personality, and
Mm-hmm.
each person that writes an article is going to write something different. And I think that is, I don't want to say it's because I'm not a good writer and I was happy about it, but I think it's, I can speak through what I'm writing a lot of times. And, when going to school and college, and you can't do that there. But
No.
I always was told my teachers, you have a lot of voice in your writing, but you're not very good at it. You don't organize it well. Well, now it's like I've gotten better at the organization parts of it, and like being able to just talk and put the words in, I think is helpful because, that's what I like to read on other sites. I want to have
Yeah.
someone talk to me about how they feel about it and what, relate this to me as a gamer. Don't talk down to me like you're the over being whoever and you think you're better than me. Like this is, I think that's
Yeah.
something that Link Cable is pretty good at, and what I think they've done before I even got there, and I'm really enjoying now that I'm here.
Yeah, when they make it feel like it's almost like a friend, like this is what
Yeah,
a friend would describe the game as for me,
exactly.
rather than what an IGN. No offense to like an IGN or a GameSpot or any of those, but
Yeah,
it's cool
exactly.
having that smaller guy feel, the feel how you would look at the game too. I guess I want to pivot from there though. You were talking about the thumbnails and all the little things you were learning at the beginning that you didn't realize were that important. What was like the biggest challenge you had with starting out on YouTube with this team especially and everything?
Um, I think the hardest thing was to try to figure out. Um, I guess if I back up a little bit, Alex and Jacob had already started a little bit of a YouTube channel. They had a handful of videos they had made. They kind of had one approach they were already going for, and it was pretty good. They just, I think it was more of just them trying some stuff to see what would work, and they didn't really have a full plan. And then me coming in here, and now that we did the podcast, and that was already being put on our YouTube channel, just kind of we'd record it, and then it would just be stored there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So having recorded videos is like the newest part of what we're doing, and trying to get those, trying to find the right type of content to have, I think has been the most difficult thing for the recorded content that's not a live stream or anything like that. So right now we've got, I think, 4 different types of recorded videos we do. We do tier lists. We try to do once. It's all kind of on a monthly cadence right now. So we have a
Yeah.
tier list video. I've got similar interview style stuff, which is I interviewed you on our channel.
Yeah.
So interviewing different YouTubers. We interviewed so far 2 guys, you and this other guy, Ricky from RE Visuals, who I recommend. I'm gonna plug him because he's great. His channel is awesome at RE Visuals for just tech everything. Super helpful guy for learning a lot of this stuff. And we have our game club monthly, and then we have like one other video. I think that's, we're just kind of trying stuff out. So trying to figure out what we want to make and how to do it has been, it's like the easiest part is like, what do you want to do? But at
Yeah.
the same time is like, I'm not sure what people actually want to see. And I guess you kind of have to throw stuff at the wall, see what sticks. And then, hey,
Mm-hmm.
we
And
got,
also,
yeah, our tier list stuff. We have the first one we did, we have 2.4 thousand viewers.
right.
But then, Game Club right now we've got like, I don't know, 20 viewers or something. So
Right. And like you said, the executing is the well you said figuring out the ideas is easy at times, but executing them is tough. And not just
yeah,
executing them, but like you were saying, connecting that back to executing them in a fashion that people want to keep coming back for.
yeah. So there's a lot of little stuff. I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
actual recording of the video, getting in, anybody can do that. You can look up online how to record video with another person on a Skype
Mm-hmm.
call or something like that. Like that stuff is, it's got its own difficult challenges,
Whoa,
but
whoa, whoa. I had those tonight. Come on now.
yeah,
Shots fired right there.
yeah. So it's easy to do. It's very hard to get it good, like to perfect it, because
Yeah.
I've definitely had my struggles with video and trying to get more than, you know, adding one person to the call. Okay, and I added two. Now you're adding three. Okay, now there's 5 of you in a call, and you all are across the world and have different internet like quality, and trying to figure out how to handle that, and
Yeah.
setups, and trying to get everybody. So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes for these things,
Mm-hmm.
and we're a small channel still for YouTube wise. Like I couldn't imagine how some of these big people, by themselves are doing all this content. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy. It really is a full-time type of job. Like, it really does make you appreciate what they're doing.
Oh, it does. Yeah. Like just a couple videos in, I know my mind was kind of blown with how novice my videos were and how long they took
Mhm.
me to make. And I'm like, okay, So each time I want to learn something new, I also need to keep getting faster at the stuff I already know, or else
Yeah.
it's going to take me years to make a freaking video that's worth watching. And oh man, so
Right,
I know
right.
exactly what you're talking about. Um, so, so now that you've been doing this for a bit, though, let's get into like the tech thing. That's what a lot of
Okay.
people, I would think, come to this channel for a little bit. And you definitely just looking at your setup a little bit. In the times I've talked to you, I can see the PC in the background.
Yeah.
I saw the Blue Yeti when you were playing with it there and stuff. So you're definitely a techie, along with the
Yep.
games. What are the three pieces of gear that you use regularly around your setup or in the whole YouTube process, maybe? You know, whatever it is when it comes to your creative process, the three things that you can't imagine living without.
So I would say number one, because we're doing a live video podcast, a decent webcam is helpful. So I have the LG, not LG, the Logitech 1080p like standard cam they have. So nothing fancy.
I'm happy somebody else does that. I feel like I always like I'll think Logitech and say LG or vice versa because they're both
I'm
huge in the
looking right
tech
at it too.
space.
I
Yeah.
see LOGI, and all I saw was LG.
Yeah, no, I'm happy
Um,
other people do that.
yeah, the Logitech cam. So I have the 1080p version of that. It's a decent webcam. It's nothing too crazy. I mean, it looks like it's even having a hard time focusing right now. I keep trying to get closer to it so it focuses right. I would say that decent microphone, like you said. I know we both got Blue Yetis. I've had a couple different ones doing just sound tests, and kind of considered going to like an XLR mic. And I was like,
Hmm.
do I do that? How does this sound? And I was kind of happy with the way the Blue Yeti came out, and price is also a big factor. I don't
Oh
want to
yeah.
spend too much money because I'm not that good yet at any of this stuff, so I don't need to go crazy.
Right.
But one of the like things that I could not do any of this without is nice monitors. I think
Yeah.
like so when I started doing this, I had three monitors. I had a really old, small 19-inch just square monitor. Then I had a 28-inch gaming monitor that I'd use, and then I had a small 25-inch monitor on my right. So I went from that, and that was like, three monitors was a good setup, but I ended up
Hmm.
getting an ultra wide for my main monitor in the middle. And I'll tell you, having that ultra wide has just made life so much easier because I can throw things to corners, I can throw things to here and there, and it's
That.
just like if I didn't have that, I don't know how I would be able to do anything because while I'm streaming on one screen, I have to capture everyone's video,
Yeah.
but then at the same time, I need to have the show because I'm using OBS to edit and run the show while we're live or recording. And then, I'm looking stuff up online while we're talking. It's like, oh yeah, we're talking about this game. What year did it come out?
Yeah.
Well, I have to like, open up Chrome on the side or Firefox or whatever to kind of look. So not having multiple monitors or a setup where you can do a lot of things at once it would be hard. I don't know
Hmm.
how people do it with one single one. Even if I
Oh,
just
it's
had the ultra wide, because I have an ultra wide and my gaming monitor still.
yeah. No, it blows my mind when people give like those minimalist setup tours, and they're like
Yeah.
they're these big content creators, and they're talking
Yeah.
about doing all this like editing and writing and all this at the same time, and they just have this one like clean 24-inch like
Yep.
4K ultra fine monitor on their desk, and I'm like, yeah, that looks so
Or even
clean.
worse, they got like a MacBook Pro and that's all they use. And they're like,
Right.
I don't need the external monitor. And I use my iPad. I'm like, you guys be crazy. How do you do all this
Right.
with
I
this?
don't
Like,
know, and if it
I have
works for
no
them, it
idea.
works for them, but it blows my mind because I'm like, I have two screens,
Mhm.
and right, I have windows on top of each other right now doing this. Like,
Same, same.
especially if you're gonna stream it all, you need to have so many different things open just to stream a game and be
Right.
monitoring everything. That's like, how do you do it with one
I don't
screen? It
know.
blows my mind, but people make it work all the time. So, I mean,
Yeah, well, I'm not about that life. I like
no.
my at least two monitors, and I would have the third if I was able to fit it on my desk still, but the ultra wide is 34 inches, so I'm
Hmm.
out a little out of space because I have a 34 next to a 28 inch, so
Yeah.
it's already a little cramped.
All right. Well, that kind of brings us into our next piece here. You said, if you could, you'd have this one more monitor. But overall, we'll call this dream tech.
Okay, Dream Tech.
If you could have one thing right now added to your setup at all, whether it be to help out with your workflow, to just make your set look or feel better, or to just upgrade your gaming area, what would it be and why?
So one of the number one things that I probably would really, really, really want to get would be a stream dock. Um, I know you picked one up recently, and I've been pretty jealous of it. That's something I've always seen. I've watched a lot of videos on how you can help with transitions and getting through the opening of different apps and getting like all kinds of stuff. It's
Yeah.
just basically whatever you want to put in there, you can macro it out or make it work. So I think that would be really helpful because I'm using some of the like I have a Logitech keyboard, so I've got like G buttons that I've kind of programmed to do a couple simple things.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it would just look cooler to have the Stream Deck, and it just looks cool and fun. I would love to have the mixer for like the sound, the
Oh, the
Go
Go XLR,
XLR
yeah.
mixers. I think that would be a lot of fun to have, so I can monitor volumes a little bit easier. And if there was
Mm.
different ways I can pull in sound, that would be great. I also wish I could get my hosts all like professional equipment and then have them all on separate lines for audio, so I could control them all separately. Because the way we do the show now for our podcasts and the videos is I have my feed coming in off my mic, and I can monitor that by itself, and then I
Okay.
have everybody else on the call.
Yeah.
So, one of the hosts might be in a really loud environment and they're trying to talk, but I can't turn them down because the other guy who sounds normal is going to be affected as well. So
Right.
I don't know. I guess the last part of it isn't Dream Tech or anything. It's just Dream software that lets me pull in everybody separately in Discord or something like that.
You could look at the Elgato Wave microphone. I know you have a Blue Yeti. It's about the same price, the Wave 1 and the
Yeah.
Wave 3. And then kind of go along with your Stream Deck dream.
I do
Get the
love.
whole
I just love
Elgato
Elgato stuff.
suite of stuff. But that actually has like a digital version or a software version of the Go XLR where you can split up all the audio feeds and monitor them right on one little dashboard.
Maybe I
And
should do that then.
you
I haven't
can
looked at that
then,
much.
if you have the Stream Deck, link those to the Stream Deck and control those with the Stream Deck. So it's kind of like a cheaper, like budget Go XLR setup. It's pretty cool. I would
My wife
definitely.
is not gonna like you telling me this.
Okay, well,
I'm
we'll
gonna be
we'll
spending money
we'll
on
move
this
on
'cause
quick so your
you've got me
wallet
very
doesn't start
interested here.
crying and your wife doesn't also hide it on you.
Yeah,
Um, so I want to get into kind of this is going to be a topic that is going to continue throughout a lot of these cave conversation episodes from here on out, guys. But this is the long lasting impression. And I want to ask you, Kevin, what is a moment in your lifetime where technology or gaming, or maybe a combination of the two, whether you were a kid or even more recent, something just stood out to you, grabbed you, and you're like, this is next level. This is, it kind of changed your life maybe, or just left a huge impression on you?
So one of like the big wow moments in my life when I felt like I was lucky enough to have cool tech was back in the early 2000s. A game called City of Heroes was out, and it was on PC. And I remember seeing it at I think it was Target or something, and I kept seeing the box, and I knew nothing about like PC specs or what our
Mm-hmm.
family computer could have. It was just I remember seeing it, and I was like, okay, I think we can run this, whatever. And I brought it home, tried to install it, and it didn't work.
Hmm.
I was devastated to say the least because I spent all my money I saved up for this game to play it. And not only was our computer not powerful to play it, our monitor couldn't handle the resolution that was required.
Oh, okay.
So I not only had to buy, try to get a computer that would work with this, I had to try to save up money and buy a complete new monitor. So my brother and I
Wow.
saved our money, my parents helped us out, and we ended up building a computer together to have like our own family gaming computer that was separate than like, the family computer for looking up stuff online.
Yeah.
And we got a new monitor, we got this gaming computer that had like this futuristic case that just blew
Oh
my
man.
mind seeing what it looked like. It was so cool. And we were able to get City of Heroes loaded and play on there. And I remember
Do
just
you have
like
any
turning
pictures
this
of it?
on.
Of that
I
computer?
don't actually. I
Oh,
don't.
that
I,
would
I
be
actually
sweet.
think
I would definitely
my
have
parents
edited
have
that
the
in.
case. I can get some pictures. My parents have the
Ooh,
case still in their basement, I'm pretty sure. But
that would be
but I don't have
sweet.
anything on
That
hand.
can make a pretty cool video
Yeah.
too if you like tried building what your current computer is into that old case or something.
It's funny because a couple years ago, I think my dad actually used that case, he used the power supply and a couple parts from it and built the computer for my
Oh,
sister to
okay.
use while she was home. So I don't know if it's still on and running, but he kept trying to get use out of that case because it was so cool. It had doors in the front. It was so different than
Ooh.
anything I had seen. Because this was like a time in like 2004 or five where it's like,
Oh, that was
most
like,
computers are pretty basic still. It
well,
wasn't anything too crazy.
and that was like the time where gaming, like custom gaming PC stuff,
Yeah,
was just coming out. So it was kind of the Wild West when it came to that stuff. Like everything now
exactly.
is a very generic box, and you just put stuff in it. Back
Right.
then, like there were cases that looked like they were modeled off of like race cars and stuff
Yeah,
or
it's like you wanted to
spaceships.
stick out. It was
Yeah, it was
spooky.
about how crazy can I make this thing look, like how gamery. And Alienware was like right at the lead of that. And I know
Yeah, and everyone copied them. They were
they're
you wanted to make it look like you had a crazy Alienware computer.
exactly, and it's divisive, like talking about Alienware, because you get into the custom build
Yeah,
community, and they're not as favorable. But either way,
exactly.
back then, yeah, the Alienware brand was like, I remember seeing my buddy had an Alienware PC and seeing that tower in his house, and this was probably like 2002, 2003, and it was the
Huge.
clear green plastic,
Yep.
and it had the
All their stuff was
silver
just
alien
it
face on it.
it
Yeah.
just looked so bizarre. I
Hmm.
remember my buddy had an Alienware computer too. It was huge.
Yep.
And I'm like I couldn't imagine. Like I remember being like, "Wow, I wish my parents loved me enough to buy me this." And I was just like, "I wish I had it." It was like insane. But anyways, back to City of Heroes. We
Yeah.
finally got that game loaded and running, and it just was like a game that like I remember the minute we turned it on was the first game I played in the computer, and that's when I started like learning about specs and understanding how okay, well I can run this game. What else can this computer run? And then we started playing
Yep.
Battlefield 1942 and starting to like push the limit. I started learning about frame rates, and that's when I just started to get really addicted to that. PC building,
That's
learning about
awesome.
upgrades and getting parts, and it was something that I really got addicted to after that point. So that was like the big moment where tech and computer and stuff kind of got, because I had gaming consoles and stuff, but it was you put in your game in your N64, it just worked. You didn't really think about it at all.
Yeah. No,
So
it
yeah, it
was it
was
was a
it's pretty neat.
different thing then. Well, I mean, it still is different for PC gaming, but it's nothing like it was then. I mean, then
No,
there was so much more tinkering involved
there
into
was. It
making
was
sure it worked, but when it did work, it was this cool little like satisfaction of like
well
I'm
because it
gaming
was
on a computer.
so hard back then. There were so many things. You had to
Hmm.
link your drives. You got master and slave going to this, and you'd plug this into here, and it was so much harder than it is now. Now it's like, all
Yep.
right, get your hard drive, yeah, plug it into a SATA. Okay, we're good. Like
Yep.
nice and easy. Back then, I remember just struggling, trying to get this to work. Do we have enough power with the power supply? And it was just like, I remember trying to learn all this stuff. I was so young, and I just was like, I don't know how this thing will never turn on. And then it would, after 16 hours of trying to make, it was one little thing you plugged in wrong here, and
Hmm.
it was satisfying.
Okay. Okay. No, that's actually, I mean that's an awesome story. I'm really pumped that that's the first one of these I have on there because I can definitely relate to it myself. So that was really cool. And I'm happy it had to do with family, because it kind of again leads us into the next thing. Um, you're talking about like Battlefield 1942, City of Heroes. What's a game that maybe you've always been the best at, or that just right now you still are the best at, that you always beat your friends, your family, maybe the Link Cable Gaming guys? You just, no one can beat you at it. If
So
is there one?
this is a hard question, and you sent me these a little bit to kind of have a heads up of what I was going to be going about, so I could think about it. And I kind of twisted the question a little bit, so I got two parts. So hopefully, I'm allowed to do that here.
Okay, so it's
Uh,
Minesweeper.
yeah, Minesweeper. No, never. I'm terrible. The game that I consider myself pretty good at is Heroes of the Storm. It's a game that I've spent a lot of time in, and I used to listen to like podcasts about the show and understanding strategy and like learning how like it's a MOBA, so you have like
Hmm.
laning and stuff like that you learn. But that game I was able to understand so well because of all the information I've done and podcasts and watching streams and all this. So that's a game I consider myself pretty good at.
Okay.
Um, I'm not amazing because I'm the guy who plays everything, isn't really good at anything, but that's the one game that kind of sticks out. That game actually helped me few years ago, I actually learned how to ice skate and play hockey. I started my own hockey team and trying to understand the game. I never could get. I'm not a big sports guy. It was really hard for me to get a game like this. It's like having to know what to do until I watched a video online where someone was comparing it to League of Legends hockey, and they're talking about
Interesting.
if you're playing a forward and you're the left wing, you want to make sure you're staying in your lane and you only jungle to go across when you have to when someone can't cover. And all of a
Oh
sudden it just clicked
wow.
because I'm like, I really get this all of a sudden. I know how to play sports because I play League of Legends type games, and it was just using words that translated across that really made sense. Like, you don't ever want to go too deep because it doesn't make any sense. Guys are going to come back and go get your core. I'm like, oh yeah, obviously.
That
And I to this
wow.
day I always think of that kind of stuff because that's just basically how hockey works and other type of games where
That's
it's like you
so
have a
funny.
lane.
I haven't thought of it that
Yeah.
way. Like that's
It's really unique, and that was one of the things that really helped me learn how to do my position in hockey and how other positions work because
hmm
it relates. It's basically the same thing. It's a push and pull, a hockey game. You want to get in, do some damage to the core, or score a goal.
Yep.
Kind of
Yeah.
neat.
It makes so much
Um,
sense, but I never thought of linking that.
yeah, it's really unique. I can't find that video either I watched because I started telling people about it. And they're like, "Oh, share it with us." I'm like, I don't remember where I looked everywhere through my YouTube history. I can't figure out
Oh.
where I watched it. The second part of the question was talking about like family and gaming. I want to talk about like my favorite, like I don't know, memory or just my experience with gaming. That's like the most meaningful thing.
hmm
So my family owns a movie theater. That's like our family business. My dad has owned
Oh
it for
yeah.
like 35 years or so now.
Eat a lot of
And it's in
popcorn?
what's that?
You eat a lot of popcorn?
Oh yeah, I literally had it when I was born. My dad brought it to the hospital. Not even kidding.
That's
But
awesome.
we have two screens in the theater, and it's a small hometown theater, and each one seats about 200 people or so. And I remember for my birthday, I'm trying to think if it was, I think it was in middle school. I had a birthday party, and we had two Xboxes, and we played Halo screen versus screen 4v4. And like, I had all my friends that were there. We had about 15 people. We were taking turns playing stuff, and everybody thought I was just like the coolest kid in school because everyone's talking about how we played Halo at the movie theater. And
That is
like, I just felt
wow,
like a
yeah.
badass, even though I was such a nerd and not a cool kid at all. Like, everyone wanted to be my friend because they wanted to come play Halo on the big screen, which, something most people can't do because they don't have a movie
No.
theater they work at or family owns. So that's one of my like thing. Something my whole family was there. My dad helped us set it up. He had the popcorn machine running out in the lobby, so everyone would go out and get popcorn, and everyone just had drinks and candy and like, it,
That's
it's
so
not like some
cool.
crazy expense for my dad to make popcorn and drinks for my friends and stuff, but they thought it was so neat because they're at the theater getting free drinks and popcorn and stuff. So something I'll
Yeah.
never forget. It was something that was
I'm
like a big
sure a
memory for
lot of
me.
those kids will never forget that. Like I know I wouldn't. That I still
Yeah.
the first time playing Halo at a birthday party on a normal size TV is still ingrained in me. It's a
Yeah.
huge moment in gaming for me personally. So imagining it that way is
It's
like a
insane.
whole nother level. That's crazy. It
Yeah,
kind of I was just
we
sorry.
played quite no, you're okay. We played quite a few games, switching out. I remember playing like played a couple of racing games. I don't remember if it was Burnout or something, but like it's such a different experience when you're playing on a giant ass theater screen with
Mhm.
speakers all around you and in the dark in the perfectly lit room with all your friends. Like, it's something. We played
Yeah.
Resident Evil 4. I remember playing
Oh
that, and
man.
that was terrifying. It
Well,
was so freaky. We played
there
that. We
has to be
played Luigi's
so many
Mansion.
people that
It was
wish they could play Resident Evil 4 in a movie theater. Such an
it was
iconic game,
neat.
like right up there. Wow.
It was cool, and we've only done it a handful of times, so it's kind of nice at the same time because I wish we would have done it more, but it does seem special because it was always like we had to wait for the right night when there weren't movies playing, and it had to
hmm
work out. And but I've been trying to get my dad to let us do it again now that he's got all new projectors now that are HD. We can do 4K instead
Yeah.
of the quality was back then systems couldn't put anything good out. But I'm
Right.
like, yeah, we got to do this again. I'd be down to play some Halo Master Chief Collection on there because that sounds like fun.
I'll come out. I'll
All the
come out
controllers are
there.
wireless now too. We used to have extension cords for all the
Right.
cables and
Oh,
stuff
I didn't
because
even
all the
think about
controllers.
that. Yeah. No, I
Yeah,
definitely. If you do that, I have to
it
make
was
my way out there. I don't even care if it's
yeah. You're more than welcome to come
like a
join us for
7 hour
that. It's a
drive.
fun time. It was what's the funny thing is the controllers weren't wireless back then on the regular Xbox and GameCube and stuff, but GameCube had those Wavebird
Oh,
controllers,
those were
and
the
they were the only
best.
controllers that would work. It was the
Yeah.
only ones that would work from the booth where we had the system to the
Mm-hmm.
for the seats. So Halo, we had to play with controllers, but we'd have to have an extension cord and all these cables going all the way through. For whatever reason, these dumb Wavebird controllers just killed it. They could work
Dude,
across the entire building, and they were still working.
the Wavebird controllers are like legendary. Those
They're so
controllers
good.
go for so much money now
Yeah,
on eBay because if you want to play retro GameCube games, like everyone wants a Wavebird.
right.
They hold up, but I mean everything breaks after a while, so there's less of them out there. They're not being manufactured anymore.
Yeah, it sucks to not
So
making them.
yeah,
I've got two of them, and they're both pretty decent still. But I'm scared the day they go because I use them for Smash Bros on the Switch because I have the adapter and you plug them right in.
yep, yeah,
So
they're still a super popular controller because of that. So you're fortunate actually having two of them. That's pretty awesome.
yeah, I remember I literally bought one the night of one of our movie theater nights at Kmart across the street where it used to be by the theater. I went in there. I ended up buying I think it was the Mario Party edition where it came with the controller for free. It was like a special Kmart deal
Oh,
they had.
mm-hmm.
So the case of Mario Party still has like Kmart logo on it.
Oh, that's really cool. That's
So it's pretty neat.
that's wonder if that would make it worth more since Kmart's not a thing anymore.
I don't know, maybe. Or maybe it makes it worse because Kmart left for a good reason. It was terrible.
That's true. Oh man. I well, actually, before we cut into the next thing, I have to tell this story to everyone listening because talking about Halo, we're both talking about our early experiences with it. And if you guys go check out their channel, their podcast, one of the guys on there, his name is Zahi. And he told us a story last week on the podcast, actually, about an early experience with Halo for him, Halo 2 specifically. He was talking about he was like the only kid in his school with an Xbox 360. Everyone else had PlayStations. Um, and he had convinced all these kids, that Halo was like this amazing thing, next level. Like, and it was. Halo 2 was so good. Don't even get me started. But he's like, yeah, you guys gotta all come over to my place. Check out this Xbox 360. It's so cool. Check out Halo. You're gonna love it. You're not gonna want to put it down. You're all gonna get Xboxes. So he has like these 10 kids over to his house, and he was saying like he wasn't a super outgoing person, so he doesn't always have tons of people over or anything like that. So it was like a really like big moment. He's all excited. He turns on the Xbox, starts up the game. Boom, red ring of death. He was like talking about. He was like, it was just the most disappointing thing. You guys will have to go listen to the story. It's so great listening to it right from him. Like I can't imagine that. And R.I.P. Xbox 360 first generations because I mean I had the red ring of death on mine. I think just about everybody had to experience that
I
who
had
got an
several.
early one. So,
So bad.
but yeah, I thought that talking about Halo, talking about the early days like that, I had to bring that back up. But again, I mean, we both have great experiences with Halo. It's probably one of my top games of all time.
Yeah.
Maybe one of yours, but what are if you have 3 games to choose from all time, what are your top 3? And if you have any reasons why.
Yes. So I know 2 perfectly. The third one is a little controversial, so I'm gonna list a few and I'll explain reasons. My number 1 favorite game of all time, hands down, is Pokemon Blue because that was a game that helped me learn how to read growing up.
Oh,
And I guess I talked to my mom about it, and like she's like, you knew how to read, but this really like excited you to want to read more and learn and understand, instead of just speaking and reading basic things. I remember my cousins, who are a little bit older than I am, going to a family reunion party. They both had Game Boys, and they were both playing Pokemon. And I remember looking at it, going, "This is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
mm-hmm.
They're collecting stuff in this game. What is this?" And I could read it, but it was like I was still pretty young because I'm a little younger than they are. I didn't get it right away. So it must have been that Christmas that I ended up getting the game and a Game Boy, and I started getting this, started playing it and playing it, and I would just go through it over and over and over, reading this stuff, trying to figure because I wanted to fit in with everybody. I wanted to know how to play this game, and I ended up getting this book that my mom or dad, I guess, got for me, and it was like not a children's book for being, I was 5 or 6 years old. It was called How to Become a Pokemon Master. And it's a
Oh,
thick, like novel type book that's on like,
so it wasn't one of like the trainer
paper.
guides. It was like a real
No,
thing.
it wasn't a trainer guide. It's literally called You should Google it. Look it up. It's called How to Become a Pokemon Master. It's a paperback novel type book, right? It's not. There's no pictures. It looks like just a regular book you'd see online for like a young adult or an adult. And I thought this was like the holy Bible of what I wanted to do in life was to become a Pokemon master. And
I
I
know this
thought this would
book.
teach me. Yeah, I thought it would teach me everything I needed to know. And I read it over and over. And I would ask my mom questions about what was going on. And my mom's like, you literally learned how to read very well because you wanted to know how to read this book that was made for people much older than you.
Yeah.
And something about that, just, the Pokemon game itself was just a ton of fun. Pokemon Blue.
Hmm.
And then my brother had read, and my brother's a little bit younger than I am, so he was also struggling with like the context of everything. And him and I trying to learn how to play this game together, learning from friends about the link cable and how to trade and do all this stuff, and trying to catch everything and evolve everyone. It was a lot of fun. So it was just like that game consumed our life for so long. Even though we had other games we could play, this was just like such a big deal for us. And then anytime we travel, I had my Game Boy and I'd be playing it, and I'd bring my book, and I had How to Become Pokemon Master I carried around. I had the guidebook for every Pokemon. Excuse me. I had a Pokédex I carried around. Like I had all my Pokemon stuff, and I was ready to go. So that's my number one.
That's a
Number
great
two,
number one.
it's my number two would be World of Warcraft. This game has consumed my life for the better, and so many eras of my life because this game has just been going and going and going. Like this game came out at the same time, right around the same time, is City of Heroes when that event happened of this
Hmm.
previous story. And I started playing then. That was the second game I really got into right after City of Heroes. I started playing World of Warcraft. And I can't say I'm like a hardcore WoW player or ever was really that intense, but I've constantly, every time new content comes out, I make a character. My friends and I start connecting again that we used to play together. We have game nights, we set things up, we level together, we do a little bit of raiding, we do some dungeoning, gear my guy up, and then it tinkers out, you kind of just go away. And then as soon as the next thing comes out, we all get back together and it happens again. And it's like the perfect cadence in my life where it's like I'm not the guy that's going to do this all the time. I have other things I need to do, but it's just like a welcome surprise every couple of years when this new expansion comes out. And it's been like that. Every era of my life seems to have WoW involved with it. Where, I was in high school and I was in probably middle school when the first ones came out. Then I was in high school. I had that event. And college. I remember playing Mist of Pandaria with my roommates, and then moving on to a little later in life where I'm getting married. I'm playing Legion. I'm playing even
Wow.
up in Shadowlands this past fall. I'm always gonna
Yep.
remember where I was at. I was quarantined in my house playing Shadowlands with my buddies, and it was just the greatest thing ever. So it's just had such a profound effect in my life with that game because it comes and goes, and it's like I haven't been playing in a while. I'm okay with it. And it's like, well, I'm done with WoW for right now. But as soon as some new stuff comes out, like there's a patch coming out, I'll probably jump in again. And my buddies get back, we start in the Discord, and it's just something we can all play. So
Yeah, I'm a little jealous of that one because that's one I wish I had gotten into back in the day. I wish I had started when it started. I tried out WoW Classic.
yeah,
Now,
oh,
like
that's
I
rough.
guess it was a year and a half ago now when it came back out, and I'd hit that up with another buddy who had never played WoW, and we had a great time. But at the point in life I'm in and everything else I have going on, I
Yeah,
just
it's
didn't have
hard.
enough time to get into it to start something new that's that big and keep up with
It's
it.
very involved.
But I immediately saw the draw of the graphics were meh. I mean, especially like it was the classic graphics, just a little bit remastered.
Yeah, yeah.
But I didn't care. It took like 10 minutes, and the world felt so good. Like I felt so drawn into everything that it felt like one of the best gaming experiences I had had in a long time at that time, and
It's
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 very impressive.
it's so like you're in the world. It's not like
Yeah,
they since the beginning they've made the world feel completely alive and connected. It's not like you go
that's
into
what it
hubs and
is.
live or it's you literally can walk from one point to the next and you don't feel like there's loading screens every 5 seconds. I mean,
That
I
was
can't
what it is. Yeah,
yeah, it's just it really is open and like me being in Stormwind City where I used to play my Lions characters and stuff. It's like I'm coming home. This is where I belong. I've been here and I know these, you know, iconic places and it is such a weird feeling. And
hmm,
what was really cool about I grew up in a small town called Romeo in Michigan, and you know everyone in the high school, everybody played in the same server. Everyone called the Romeo server. Everybody played on
Okay.
Stormreaver. That was one of the big things. So it was like you'd run into people that you went to school with, or like I'd be playing with some of my friends, and they're like, "Oh yeah, so and so from our social studies class. They're on too. They're going to join us for the raid. Or they're going to be doing that." And it was
Oh,
just
that's
such
so
a
cool.
and it was so many people that it was just like a weird phenomenon that was happening in our town that everybody I knew was playing. Like even friends that I knew that weren't gamers, they were around playing, and we'd everyone had their different types of communication using like Ventrilo and
Mm-hmm.
TeamSpeak and stuff like that, trying to get in. It was. I think most of that started probably the Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King time. I remember in
Yep.
Classic WoW, it was really just me, my brother, and my buddy playing.
And that's coming back out,
And
the Burning Crusade.
yeah, that the stuff for that's just got announced for Classic. So
Yep.
yeah, that game has just been a big part of my life. Okay, and then hurrying up to the last game. This pick is just like there's so many that I want to say is my third best game. This is one that like usually changes every time I talk about something.
Okay.
I have to like just give a couple shout outs. I think my third favorite is probably Knights of the Old Republic,
Ooh,
like
that's a good choice.
two,
That's a
maybe
strong
one.
choice.
It's just a game that I hated because I don't like Star Wars usually. I'm not really a Star Wars person.
Ooh,
And I
that's a
remember
hot
renting
take.
this game.
That is
I
a
remember, yeah,
hot
I
take.
remember renting it and playing it and being like, this isn't for me. I don't know. And then coming back to it years later after purchasing it and just falling in love with this series and the story of the game and being like, I have no idea this was so involved and just so
Mm-hmm.
meaningful. It just left a huge mark on me trying to think of that. But at the same time, I really loved the game Jade Empire. That was another game I really liked, which is another BioWare game.
Okay.
It followed. It's one of the only games that I know is like a full RPG with full party. You have your party and you outfit them and you do moves, but it wasn't turn based or a like stop and go type of game. It was a full action like
Mm-hmm.
brawler, and it was so unique to me to have something like that with a full party system where it kind of reminded me like I was also playing Fable at the time and like that type of game but with a party system. It just I don't know.
Yeah.
Those are some of the ones I really like. It's hard to say. I'm just gonna leave it. I could go
I
on
mean
for
that
hours and hours of so many good games.
I completely understand that. No, those you listed off some really good ones there, and I have to say your top two were awesome. I love the whole Pokemon Blue taught me to read thing because it's like take that. Video games aren't making me dumber; they're teaching me to read.
No, they are,
Like
and it's even
it's so great.
even funnier to add to it. My mom would always like tell me, Pokemon aren't real. When you get older, this isn't, because I was so obsessed with reading this book about how to become Pokemon Master. I remember mom telling me like it's not real. Like there's no Pokemon Masters. Like it's fun to play, and I want to be mom. I'm 30 almost now. I'm still playing Pokemon, and it's
Yeah.
bigger than it is ever.
It's
And
like Pokemon
it's
Go,
just
they are real, mom. You just gotta hold your phone up and you can see them. Jeez, they're invisible.
exactly. So yeah, just these games really did have. I mean, gaming itself has just really affected my life in so many ways for
Yeah.
a lot of good things. Brought me to a lot of friends. It brought me to give me something to do, kept me out of trouble, like a lot of good stuff.
Brought you to Link Cable Gaming.
Brought me to Link Cable. There
Yeah.
we go.
Um well, I guess let's get into our third and final thing here. And that's we're going to put all of this together now. And we're going to kind of talk
Okay.
about, your goals in gaming, your goals in general with YouTube, everything. What are like your biggest motivations and what do you really want to see yourself doing over the next couple of years and how do you want to get there?
Okay. So, not to go back in history again, but back in 2004, 2005, 6 time period, I'm not sure exactly what year, I started being old enough to mow my parents' lawn. And my parents have a pretty big lawn, front and backyard, and I didn't really have a large music collection to listen to while I mowed the lawn, so I turned to the internet to see what I could try to find for free. I stumbled upon this thing called podcast that was an up and coming type of format you could listen to. It was like talk radio.
Mhm.
And listened to a couple different things, and it wasn't really for me. Tried different topics, and then stumbled across a podcast called the Video Game Outsiders. And it's this podcast of just random people that had never met each other, and they just talked about video games, and they were very casual about it. There wasn't no, they weren't allegiant to a company or a brand, and they could say whatever came to their mind, and they were Sometimes they would talk about games. Sometimes they made, prank calls just to be funny and did stuff. And it was a really crazy show. So I listen to these guys still to this day. I've been listening going on 16, 17
I was gonna say,
years
how many
and
episodes have they had now?
hundreds. There's
There's
tons and tons and
like
tons of
it's like
episodes.
almost to 700 episodes or
I think
something.
they're at
Like,
655, 660, something like that.
yeah, that's crazy.
So they've been doing it. It started with three people. One of the three did drop out a couple years in. Started having a lot of kids and just changed, life change. And they picked up another host. And the three of them have been together probably the last 12, 13 years. And
Wow,
they've never met each other.
that's the
And
craziest part.
it's such a, and they're all very different people. Like there's one guy who's a really goody goody. He's a really nice guy, emotional dude, but he's very passionate about certain types of games. There's another guy who's just in your face, kind of wild, lives on the edge. He's always skateboarding and getting hurt and doing crazy stuff. And then there's a lady who's just kind of like the offset bounds where she's pretty reasonable and has her opinions that kind of, it's a really good chemistry of people. And they talk about video games. And they're not even a video game show anymore. They got picked up and put onto a comedy network because they do so much comedy with their shows. So they're technically on a comedy network. So I've always really looked up to these guys as like big idols in my life. Like I've met one of them and I was a wreck meeting them. Like my hands were sweating and I would just like ran up. I was like, I like your show. And then I ran away. It was awful. I wish I could go back and change that part of my life because it's like I've seen these things like you meet your idols. It can either go three ways. You meet them. They're exactly what you think. They're that's the best case scenario. Or you meet them and they're jerks and you hate them, or they're way better than you think and you can't believe that you didn't like them more. Well, I thought he was exactly what I thought, super nice, but I was the weirdo instead. So leading into all this, what I want to do, or I'm seeing myself, is I want to be like them. And one of the things that they've said to me, not to me personally, but this is, I think they're speaking to me because I'm so full of myself now. They said, we do this show every week, not because we get paid a lot of money to do this. Like we cover our expenses for where we store the show. We do all this. We do this because we have fun every week. And the guy, John, who's the main guy, he always says, as soon as this stops being fun, I just won't do it. But it hasn't stopped being fun yet. And that has been so important to me because I've been chasing exactly what he's doing all the time. And what they do changes. He used to do he's a big arcade guy too, where he'd have a whole podcast about arcade machines, and he's got a huge arcade in his basement. He used to do a podcast for it. He's like, yeah, it stopped being fun. He just stopped doing it. So, they move on, they change stuff, and that's really what I'm chasing too, is like I want to just keep trying stuff, see what I like, and if it stops being fun, then I'm gonna do something else. So
Yeah,
I don't know. It's a really big part of my life. Like these people are like my celebrities that I follow. Like if I ran into somebody on the street that was famous, I probably wouldn't care as much as if I met these guys.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to look at all of this. And I know it's tough because it's like you obviously want to be able to find what you love to do, and in some way support yourself in doing it. That's the dream. The dream is to be able to do something like this, YouTube, play with tech, play with games, be able to do all of that, and maybe get paid enough while doing it to make that your thing, but
That's
also keep the
exactly.
balance of making it fun every day.
I guess your question, Leon, is where do I want to be with it? So my goal
Yeah.
would be to kind of have enough to have a following of people. I think that's the biggest thing that I like about any podcast I've ever listened to. I really want our show, our network. I want people to interact with. I think that's the most important part. I want to be able to, make a little money, fine, cover the costs of like housing for storage for the podcast, some of this other stuff. But I mean, that's little stuff that I don't mind paying out of pocket for. But if I have a community of people that I can interact with and talk to and make friends and do like that type of interaction is so much more important. Like having, I've met you through the process of all
Right.
this. I've met a ton of people, like the people on Link Cable. I've never met them in real life yet. And I think that's really cool that we still, even you and I, anybody have not met, we can have connections online because we like video games. We can talk about this stuff. And it's exciting to me. Like I get so worked up and passionate about it because I'm like, hey, my friends play video games, but they buy, Madden and Call of Duty every year. I can talk to them about video games, but they're not going to know about something coming out in a couple weeks. Or I rebuilt my computer. I show pictures to my friends like, yeah, that's cool. Why do you need that? And it's like, sometimes you got to go a little further outside your personal boundaries of like where you live to find these people that can have these full on conversations with you and go, okay, why did you use this type of RAM? Or why did you go with this cooling unit? Or why did you do this and this? So
Yeah.
I really want my goal to have a community of shows that I can bring people in, have conversations about it, and just, you know, I want to feel cool. I want to feel like people like doing what I'm talking about. They want to keep coming back.
This is gonna sound incredibly corny, but so overall, like you want these connections. You're all about, you want to make connections, friendships, all that. It's gonna sound so corny, but I love that your like main thing is connections, and you work for Link Cable Gaming. Link Cable,
I'm all about networking.
Is a connection.
It's an ironic.
Yeah, that.
Everything happens for a reason, I guess.
Yep. No, but that's so cool, and I love hearing that as like a goal of wanting to build a community. Like the goal isn't just to come here and make the dollar. Like, I mean, everyone would love to do that, obviously.
Yeah, I would love that, but
be a
it's
goal.
not the most important.
Yeah,
that's an added bonus.
Right, and if you truly have admirations of making this your career, you obviously do want to take business moves, but yeah, the only reason you want to make this your career is because it's something you enjoy doing, and it's something you're passionate about, and you very clearly have that passion. So it's super cool to get to talk to you like this. I think that's gonna really wrap it up for us here tonight. I was really happy you got to come on to this show. Gonna try and get this one posted here pretty quick, but yeah, I don't know if you want to plug your socials one more time before we go.
Yeah, so all my personal stuff, I go by Pro5002. That's PRO5002. And that is, real quick story about it is that's my Neopets name I had. I think I told you this before. So it's just stuck with me. I don't know why, but that's where all my socials for just personal stuff I have on there. So follow me, message me, talk to me. I'd love to connect with you guys. And then find all my articles, videos at linkcablegaming.com. You can check out the Link Cable Gaming podcast if you look on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Pocket Cat, anywhere there's audio or video, you can find us for that.
Go check them out. Yeah, definitely. No, again, thank you for coming on. That's going to do it here, guys. This was episode 5 of Cave Conversations. I'm excited to keep this thing going. Going to try and get this to you guys now every other week. Hopefully on Tuesdays, I'll be posting the videos, so keep an eye out for those. And I'll see you guys in the next one.